Hi, my name's Dee and welcome to Sunchild Tarot, and welcome to your general readings for the sign in the title below, because it's a bulk introduction, for the supermoon, full moon in Scorpio on the 26th or 27th of month we're in, April, for wherever you are in the world. Here in Britain it's on the 27th, in America it's mainly on the 26th. Now, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the astrology of this because I'll be live streaming 6 p.m. UK time, so 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific on YouTube with astrologer David Fisher. We'll go through the astrology then. As ever, general reading rules apply. Timing is not absolute. This is an interesting full moon. I think I tend to look at these readings as looking over the lunar cycle or half lunar cycle, if you know what I mean, from full moon to full moon, rather than new to new. So we'll see how long that they last. You should hopefully pick up the energies from them. If someone else appears in the readings, roles can get reversed. Doesn't very often happen in the spread that I'm using. But as I say, timing is far from absolute is the main point here. So, as ever, I would like you to hit that like button if you like the reading, or if you like the video even. No, the reading might not be so hot. And feel free to subscribe to the channel while you're here, because it really does help. I think that's it for my housekeeping. The reason I do a bulk introduction with a timestamp in the description below, so that you can fast forward to the reading, don't do it yet, is I would like to watch your sun, your moon and your rising. And you don't need to listen to me waffle 3 times over. You know what I mean? So there is a timestamp below if you're wanting to fast forward if this is your second or third time round. And there is a link to the Facebook page for this channel, where I post these videos, obviously, because I do not trust YouTube notifications. But I also post the weather report style astrology YouTube videos that I watch, so you can learn along with me, and I try to make it a bit of a one-stop shop. So anyway, I think that's everything. Oh yeah, if you don't know your moon or your rising sign, there's a link down there for there's 2 links: free birth charts, AstroSeek or Cafe Astrology. I'm now tending more towards using the AstroSeek, just because I know what I'm doing a little bit more, and there's so much you can get the chart to be presented the way you want it to be. So this full moon, it's an interesting one. It's ruled by the angel Jeliel. 7 degrees Scorpio is ruled by the angel Jeliel, who represents recapturing the spark and love and wisdom. Now, that recapturing the spark could mean the passion for a project, a field of research, or a person, you know. So there is that whole romantic element to it. There is a lot of, if you look into the positions of the planets and the degrees that they're holding and the degree symbols and what have you, there is a lot of sexual energy in this full moon, which figures with us just coming off the back of that Venus-Uranus conjunction, although again, that's about more than just relationships and sex lives. But what I've also found is interesting is the relationship to other new moons. Being in Scorpio, it represents transformation. Now, the moon, if my notes are correct, is in its fall in Scorpio anyway. But it's also, being in Scorpio, traditionally ruled by Mars. And Mars is just gone into Cancer. So the moon and Mars are in mutual reception. They're amping each other up. So I think there's any transformations that are begun more under or that are ongoing, I think it would be an even better way to put it, will have that little bit extra oomph. Now, Scorpio under modern rulership is ruled by Pluto. As we know, Pluto's still in Capricorn. But 7 degrees Scorpio is the site of the Pluto of harmonic convergence, which, if you know your hippie woo-woo, then that was a big event in the late, oh, I didn't write the date down, 87, 88, where there was this opening of all new energies coming onto the planet. So I think it's quite significant where this full moon is potentially giving us a chance to actually use those energies now. We've had plenty enough time since the 80s, late 80s, to assimilate to them. It's about time we use them. And also, the other thing I noticed is that it's on Aleister Crowley's Jupiter. Now, there was something else that was like really hocus pocusy with this full moon. I didn't write it down. I've forgotten what it was. But I would imagine this full moon would be great for full moon rituals. However, watch every single astrology forecast video I've posted on that YouTube page first. Do your research. Make sure that what you would be magically working towards, creatively visualizing, sat with a candle, what have you, is in line with the astrological energies that are there. Because I noticed the closer we get to the full moon, the astrologers' descriptions of this full moon are getting nicer and nicer. And there are some beautiful aspects to it. But there are also some quite traumatic aspects as well. So be careful what you ask for, because you might just get it. I think it's the, sometimes the genie is best left in the bottle. That's something that I think you really need to pay some attention to. Myself, I'm not planning any hocus pocus for the full moon this time. I'm just going to sit and let, I suppose the phrase would be trust the process. Allow the transformation energies to unfurl. Because for me, I was alive during harmonic convergence. So for me, this is really, really important. And it being on Aleister Crowley's Jupiter makes me think that magic at this time has a high chance of getting bigger. But it's Crowley, it's double-edged. Do you know what I mean? So you be very, very careful what you ask for. Now, I've also been reading a lot about Franz Barden and the entities he calls the degree heads, who are entities that inhabit each individual degree of the zodiac and can be evoked just like any spiritual entity or magical entity can be evoked, if you know about your evocation. Now, this one is, let me pronounce it correctly, Amelie. Now, Amelie, here's the description, protects man against all infectious diseases and causes him to look after himself so that he is at any time able to resist infection. If karmic reasons make it necessary, or if it lies in one's fate, this head, i.e. the entity Amelie, will not prevent an infection. Amelie teaches the magician many means of protection against the most diverse types of infectious diseases from the magical point of view. Since there exists also the possibility of mental or astral influences, Amelie also instructs the magician in this respect. He teaches him how to protect himself after having been made acquainted with special magical practices against negative astral influences and against influences of negative beings. So if you are going to try any hocus pocus with this full moon, talking to Amelie may not be a bad idea, given the situation of the world at the moment. Negative astral influences? Well, let's use the by now tiresome term of fake news. We've already seen what damage fake news can do. And infectious diseases. I wonder what's going on in the world that could relate to that. But apparently I can't say such things on YouTube. So I won't mention even the V word, never mind, the C word. Not that it makes the slightest bit of difference to me anyway, because I am not yet monetized. But, you know, I'd like people to see the readings that follow this. Now, that is pretty much all that I'm wanting to talk about with the new moon, full moon. Apart from new moon, yes. Now, Scorpio transformation. And there was an aspect between the recent, the last new moon, the Aries new moon, and Pluto, which was instigating transformation energies. You know what I was saying about the transformation with the harmonic convergence Pluto? There's that sense of revealing, unveiling, that deeper secrets, deeper truths, deeper realities, stripping things away. Scorpio is also the sign of death and transformation. It is the death card in the tarot. So, as I say, the death card in the tarot is not scary, because if you get a job, it's the death of poverty. If you get a relationship, it's a death of loneliness. You know, so death is not necessarily bad, but you're watching a tarot reading anyway. So apart from I'm not using tarot this, well, I am a bit. So you know this already. But there was transformation that was triggered by that Aries new moon. Not even triggered as in the seed was sown, but triggered as in, right, here is the energy to start it. Here we seem to be clearing all the crap out that we found that's in the way of this transformation. It's like deciding to redecorate your kitchen, and then you open a cupboard and find that you hadn't emptied it after all, and you need to empty this cupboard before you can do the next bit of work. So this full moon promises to be really, really useful and dramatic. Like I say, we're just coming off that Venus-Uranus conjunction, so I think that may be adding a little bit of spice into our lives one way or another. So, with no further ado, I don't think I've got anything more to add, and I'm trying to cut down these intros since we're doing the live streams. Yeah, the live stream may be shorter. I've said that already, haven't I? So, like, share, subscribe, and I'll bring up your cards. Okay, Aquarius, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus, North Node, whichever area of chart you're wanting to look at. If you've watched these Full Moon Gods at Play readings before, then you know that this top row represents the masks that the archons wear as they try to suppress you, repress you, keep you vibrating in fear and misery and just generally low energy, negative vibration nonsense. And this bottom row represents the gods that are trying to lift you up, that are trying to reconnect you with the divine. Now, the first thing that struck me on this reading was on your first four cards, you've got all bigwigs. Ra, the sun god, and Uranus, the grandfather of the sky god, who was the sky himself. On the being worn as masks by the archons, and then on your side, Odin delivering guidance, and Gaia here as the mother, but as the life force of the energy planet itself. So this promises, just on the strength of that, promises to be quite a momentous full moon to full moon cycle, I would say. And interestingly, how you have Ma'at working on your behalf here, with the card for this being justice, but here, judgment. This strikes me as you will have the opportunity to condemn or to set things right. And one is not the same as the other. That's the impression that I'm getting from this, especially with Lilith being a goddess on your side here. with the concept of equality. And the one thing that I noticed between Gaia and Uranus is Uranus, certainly looking at, with Mars there, Uranus looking down from a distance, from a remote place, from the sky. Whereas Gaia is roll your sleeves up and get involved. So if you find that you have a choice between some highfalutin concept, whatever the concept is, I'm not saying there is anything wrong with the concept. I want to point this out. These archontic energies are like astrological energies in a way. They will express themselves somehow. They can express themselves through world events, through culture, or through your nearest and dearest, who are also probably on their own path. Well, who are definitely on their own paths, let's be honest. But I'm getting the distinct impression, if you look at Ra as the sun looking down on everyone and Uranus as the sky looking down on everyone, there's a principle here that is being held up where, with this Martyrs judgment as an archon, is saying, yeah, no, condemn. You need to be loyal to this philosophy. Laertes here. However, Odin, Gaia, Mart, Lilith, Hestia. Hestia represents the home, as well as that inner fire, inner passion. So it's roll your sleeves up, get involved, and ensure that the right thing is done that way, not by keeping yourself at a distance and just obeying some point of philosophy or some concept. If there's how can I put this? Almost in terms of social intervention, but that's probably over-egging the pudding somewhat. But say that there is a problem with crime in a certain area because people ain't got access to enough food, and you can definitely correlate the access to food with the level of crime. Access to food goes up, level of crime goes down, because they don't need to be constantly, there's ways of getting the food without crime. This is overly simplistic, I know, but go with me on this, because this is the analogy I'm seeing. What these cards are suggesting is you go there and you take them some food. You don't condemn them for stealing to get money for food. You ensure that food gets to that area at a price where people can afford that food, or you open a food kitchen, or what have you. It's because also we have I don't know how to pronounce this one. This one has never come out of my Oracle of Heaven and Hell before, and I must have had it a year now. Ray EIL with liberation. So there's a chance to free someone from something, but sticking to some high-minded principle that can be written in a bullet point form, that people can stand in a circle and swear oaths to, or what have you, is not going to solve any problems here. That way is the trap, because as I end up saying in every Gods at Play reading, this top line is a trap. It is the archons trying to keep you vibrating in a negative way. But what Odin brings to mind is, Odin is the reason for the Hanged Man card. He hung upside down on the world tree for however long it was. I know, I say it every reading, 7 or 9, I can't remember, days and nights. So there's Odin is here delivering guidance, but it's in an atmosphere of confusion, because he had to go through that confusion of the Hangman card to get to the wisdom that he got to. And I really like this almost a synchronicity here. There's an energy between Mart and Lilith here, which I'm finding quite pleasant, but not pleasant in a, oh, that's nice, pleasant in a, them two together will kick ass. It's something really, really positive, strong, like seeing your favorite superhero team in action sort of thing. Right, let's see what the tarot have got to say. Oh, and the Justice card there. The only card I hadn't mentioned here was Bast. Now, that rather makes me think that someone is, especially with Laertes being clarified by the Tower, this high-minded concept that is offered to you, I would say the person that offers it to you no more believes it than fly. It's as if they are playing with people to say, oh, it's got to be this way. And then they walk into another room and snicker to themselves, suckers, believe the lot of it. So, like those hypocritical preachers that we often hear about. Whereas, oh, now this is nice here. And I'm going to stick with my analogy of social intervention, but it doesn't, that's what you are guided to here is something where do not stand in judgment, roll your sleeves up. I think that's what I might call the reading, because the standing in judgment is a trap. And you will have lots of pressure to do that. It promises to take you to a better place. It promises to start things moving. This adhering to this principle, whatever this principle may be, it promises change. It does not deliver. That's one thing I'm seeing with this Tower card right at the end here. It really does not deliver. Whereas here we've got the King of Cups with Odin. Now, the one thing that cup reminds me of there, I mean, that's obviously Poseidon on this card, but it's almost like the cup reminds me of the cornucopia for some reason. Now, I know it's not the direct tarot meaning for the King of Cups, but there's a cornucopia on offer here if you're emotionally okay with it. Let's have the King of Cups meaning in. But Gaia, beautifully clarified by the Queen of Pentacles, that nurturing energy. So you are being called to nurture, and I believe in that process receiving some nurturing as well. March with justice, what I was saying about open a food kitchen or make sure the food gets through, or all the different options that you can do. March here is clarified by the Seven of Cups, saying there is plenty of ways to do this. So the one thing is, go with the way that feels good to you, where you are rolling your sleeves up, and I feel that you can feel confident with it, where you can definitely prove your worth and have your say. Where, yeah, you might be called to argue with a few people, because you will be flying in the face of this concept. If you've ever worked with certain sectors of the community, this is probably why I'm using this analogy. If you've ever worked with certain sectors of the community and then had other people within your family or within your social life going, oh, I don't know what you're doing working with those people, whoever those people may be. That's exactly the attitude that's coming from the top here, especially Uranus with that Three of Wands. It's almost like move yourself away from those people. It's like, nah, they're human beings, their blood flows the same way they do, and to carry on that food kitchen scenario, they need something to eat, and I can do something about that. And you will come into arduous debate, let's put it that way, with somebody over this issue. But you will be building a far better home for yourself. King of Wands here with Hestia. And maybe just finding something that lights your inner fire for a while. I'm not saying that your inner fire is not there. I'm not saying that this is a a long-term thing, but it's something that feels right now. And like I say, Ray EAL, liberation, frees yourself, frees others. That's really quite beautiful. So just avoid those high-minded principles. And now I've completely forgotten what I was going to call the reading. Anyway, Aquarius, you very nearly didn't get a reading, as I said at the end of Capricorn, but you'll be pleased to know that you have. We'll be live streaming on Saturday night, and everything should go, hopefully, without a hitch now. Hit that like button. Feel free to subscribe to the channel. You are more than welcome. Or join us on the Facebook page. And when you see me and all the astrologers, speaking of astrologers, Saturday night, 6 p.m. UK time. It's not GMT, it's British Summer Time. But I will be having astrologer David Fisher on. We'll be going through all the full moon, and we'll have some oracle card readings afterwards. Enjoy. See you then. Cheers.